Hello, peeps and creeps, and welcome to Fright Club. I'm Gav, he's Danny.
Hello.
We are the Fright Club NI, and this is a brand new episode of Monday Night Frights. On tonight's show, we're talking about the 2011 prequel to The Thing called The Thing.
The thing again,
The Thinger.
the thing before,
The Thingy-majig.
the thing that was.
How many am I looking for? 5. There's 3 and 4. You said there were 5?
And we're back with episode 6.2 of Monday Night Frights, and tonight we're talking about a very special prequel to us, Danny. It's The Thing!
Yeah. Is it a special prequel to us?
Well, I'll tell you why
Is
it's
it?
special.
Oh,
Because the
I know why
prequel.
it's special.
Yes, we're getting there. It's the prequel to obviously John Carpenter's iconic 1982 horror film, one of the greatest horror films ever made, The Thing.
The
This
thing.
is called The Thing also.
The thing. No, it's not called the thing. Also, it's just called the thing.
Just The Thing.
The thing.
The Thinger.
The thing. The thing. Yes.
The reason why we're doing this is because we've got a very special screening coming up in 2 weeks, Friday the 28th of October at the Braid Arts Centre in partnership with the Braid Film Theatre. We'll be doing a double bill of 2 classic 80s horror, Poltergeist and The Thing.
Yeah.
So
But the original thing, not this
original
thing.
thing, not the Thinger.
This is the pre thing. This is that we're showing the OG thing, but not the OG thing.
This is the thing.
This is the John Carpenter thing.
Because and also, by the way,
that thing.
We're showing the original Poltergeist, not the
and also the original,
not the second Poltergeist,
not
that was out.
The reboot of the Poltergeist.
Yeah.
Or it was pretty much just a remake.
It was a remake.
At that point,
it was a remake.
Yeah, it was
yes.
a remake.
So are you following? Are you following?
So we're showing John Carpenter's The Thing and Hooper's The Poltergeist.
Yes.
Poltergeist, not the Poltergeist. Poltergeist.
Poltergeist
So
and the thing.
Poltergeist. It's their 40th anniversaries.
Yes.
We're doing a double bill screening on Friday, the 28th of October in the Braid, Ballymena.
Ballymena boy. And
the Braid Film Theatre.
This video will be out before that, so I will put the link to the tickets in the description below. So
down
please,
below.
If you can make it, come out and say hello to us. It'll be class to meet some people.
We'll be there. We'll take.
We will be. Funny enough, we will be in the building.
We'll actually be in attendance.
Yes, we will do. And you'll be able to see us together, Danny.
Together in person. It's not
often that we're together.
For real. I mean, we had a fantastic screening of The Lost Boys in September there. Fantastic turnout for that, and we got to do a little talk at the start and give away a T-shirt. And it was absolutely fantastic. And we actually got to be in the same room together for the first time in quite a long time. So
quite a long time.
But we're going to be together again.
Together.
Put it in your diary.
Put it there.
Put it there.
Put it there. Anyway, let's talk about The Thing.
Let's talk about the pre-thing. The Thing.
So
prequel.
This was the first time I'd seen this film in its entirety.
I seen something before you did.
You did, yes, Danny, you did.
What?
But well, I will say that whenever we talked about doing this, you said, "Oh, have you not seen it?" And I was like, "No, I've seen a bit of it, but I actually had seen a lot more than I thought." So, when I was rewatching it or watching it for the first time. I didn't remember much about the start of it or the ending. I didn't know anything about the ending.
Yeah.
But I did remember quite a lot of the middle part, in the actual station and the paranoia and all that stuff. So I remember that.
The middle part is basically just
The Thing.
The first movie.
I know.
The thing, and they tweak it ever so slightly.
They do tweak it. And I think that, yes, this is a prequel. And we'll get into it all in more detail later on about the pros and cons of what we thought of the film.
Yeah.
But I do feel like it did suffer from the remake label unjustly to a certain extent, because a lot of people assumed that this was a remake because it was just called The Thing.
Yeah.
And they didn't call it like The Thing Origins or the Pre-Thing or the Thingamajig or... they just called it The Thing, and a lot of people just assumed it was a remake.
The Thing before the Thing.
The Thing before the time, before the world, before the...
What comes before a thing? I don't know.
The beginning.
That?
Origins. No, so I do feel like it did suffer from that a little bit. But yes, a lot of the middle part is essentially structured very much like the original movie from 1982, which in itself was a remake of a 1951 movie, Thing from the Other World, which is John Carpenter's favorite film, although it's very different to it, and obviously Carpenter puts his own spin on it. Carpenter, it was based on a book as well called Who Goes There, by John Campbell Jr., and his version of it is a lot closer to the original novel. So to say that his film is a remake is maybe a little bit meh.
Yeah, it's a bit meh.
It's more of a readaptation than a remake.
I was actually seen a thing today about John Carpenter. I seen a thing. I was actually saying last night I was watching. You hear a thing? Oh, the thing!
Oh,
the head
I forgot
thing.
I had that.
Do I have any
things? That's a birthday card.
I have no things. But yeah, I seen a thing today about John Carpenter, and it was funny. I was actually saying whenever I was watching the movie, last night, I was saying to Anna, I was like, oh, this is giving me pure Dead Space vibes. And Dead Space is being they're remastering the first game, and it's out January next year. So it's kind of like, oh, might buy the Dead Space remaster. But then today, I seen apparently John Carpenter wants to do a Dead Space movie, which I was like, why has John Carpenter not already done a Dead Space? But he's done The Thing, which basically Dead Space on Earth. Why not just do why not just do The Thing in space, aka Dead Space? I think that would be great. I think you could tie fucking Dead Space and The Thing all together in some weird, like,
that sounds amazing. Yeah,
body horror, fucking
sci-fi horror,
sci-fi shit. Yeah, I'd be down for that. There is a fantastic limited run games. Give us sponsorship, thanks. Limited run games are doing a special edition of the PS5 version of Dead Space, and it comes with a replica light up helmet of Isaac's helmet from Dead Space, but it's like 250 nips. If they want us to do an unboxing review, limited run games, hit us up.
We will try to find the time to do an unboxing video.
Very, very busy.
If we get one each.
If they want to send us, the special edition of Dead Space for the PS5, hit us up. But anyway, John
please
Carpenter,
tag them. Anybody that's sharing this, please tag them.
Yeah, let them know. But yes, we are here to talk about not John Carpenter's Thing, but the prequel to John Carpenter's Thing, which came out in 2011 and didn't really make sense to not call it the Prequel thing. I still think pre-thing sounds. I don't know. It doesn't. It sounds very pre-thing.
Why not just call it Thing, not with the
thing, the thing that came before,
or just call it Thing from Another World?
If they just called it Thing Below the Ice, I don't know, because that's where it kind of starts with this one. Because one of those things, I think, I'm trying to remember. I seen this movie quite early on, and something's telling me I might have actually seen this before I seen John Carpenter's The Thing. I'm not 100% sure. I kind of went through this mad phase in my teens of just like binging a load of horror stuff and stuff associated. So I can't remember in which order I watched The Thing and then The Thing. But yeah, something's telling me that I maybe watch this first and then watch John Carpenter's The Thing, because I knew it was a prequel, and then the way this ends obviously seamlessly sort of goes in, which is quite nice. So doing it that way, but then what I think it suffers from is that kind of noughties CGI. You know, we'll talk about that a bit more.
Yeah, but, we'll definitely be talking a lot about that later on in this video. But we'll go through some production notes as always.
Always,
Danny.
You have figures, right?
We like to do research.
You brought your figures.
I actually brought some figures.
Nice.
This week. I remember, was it the first week we did the ritual? I forgot to bring figures, so that's because we were away for so long. But now that we're back,
you weren't used to it, but we're getting back into our flow.
I forgot.
We got this.
The budget for the film was $38 million. It only made $31.5 million in the box office. It was deemed a failure. It had some decent reviews, but overall, generally, the vibe was that it wasn't well received. For obvious reasons, that The Thing is one of those movies that is kind of untouchable in the eyes of the fans that love it, and even just general cinephiles that maybe don't love it so much as us or horror fans, but they understand that Carpenter is somebody that his films you kind of stay away from. Now, some of his films have been remade and done on sequels and blah blah blah, but The Thing is probably one of his greatest films, and it was kind of shouldn't have been touched really. Yeah. However, it is a prequel, so again, going back to what I said at the start of the video, a lot of people I think assumed that this was a remake, and they were just automatically no. Yeah. Also, when it did come out and people realized that it was a prequel, I think it was one of those films where they were like, why do we need to see the prequel? It doesn't really give us any more information about the backstory. Really, it doesn't.
It doesn't. No, it really doesn't delve too deeply into any sort of real backstory, which again, I think is maybe a part of the feeling of it. Maybe people were going into it thinking, oh, this will maybe tell us what the thing is. But we actually get no further forward with what the thing actually is. We don't get to put any more than this is the thing. And
this is a thing in an ice thing.
A thing in a big ice cube. See when it's like your man, there's a point in the movie where the man says, you need to get that thing out of the ice. Me and we're like, he said the fucking title. Yeah, there we go.
I know. So this is obviously a prequel, as we mentioned like a million times already. And
Gav, did you know it was a prequel?
It's a prequel.
It's actually a prequel. Yeah.
So it was directed by Matthias van Hennigan. And I've completely slaughtered his surname, so I apologize.
But everybody knows what you mean.
Up until this, and actually even after this, he didn't really do anything of significance. I don't mean that to sound horrible, but he was essentially an unknown. And he made this film, and then he went on, and I think he made a few films after this, but he didn't really make anything super significant. I'm assuming that he was quite a cheap director for hire, so it kept that part of the budget down anyway, and they were able to put more money into CGI. It was written by Eric Hezerer. That's definitely not how you pronounce his name.
We're just butchering names, folks. There's going to be a lot of names in this episode that are just butchered. There's no point.
It's either Hezerer or Heiser. It's probably neither of those, and I apologize for my horrible pronunciation. But do you know what other film he wrote?
What other film did he write? No.
A remake. Oh. An absolutely horrible remake that we definitely will not be covering on the show, even though we've covered a lot of the other films.
Unless people really want us to.
Well, even if they do, there'd need to be a lot of people leaving comments on videos here, because I definitely don't want to cover it. But he wrote
Tell me.
A Nightmare on Elm Street remake from the year before this.
I know we've still got what? How many? 3 more Nightmare on Elm Street?
We've got Freddy's Dead coming this season.
Yeah.
And then we've got New Nightmare. And then that's it.
But if people really, really want us to talk about the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street to make it a 3rd visit to Elm Street, let us know in the comments below. We'll maybe mention it again when we're doing the Nightmare on Elm Street episode, but for now, it's something we wish to avoid. But if you want to see us suffer through it, you let us know.
Please do. Although he wrote that horrible screenplay,
you know what?
This script, let's not talk about that.
Let's not get onto that. We'll get around there maybe at some point.
This script is okay.
This is all right. It's all right.
It's an okay script.
Worst.
He also did write the screenplays for Arrival, which is a fantastic film and a very good screenplay. Which I think it won a couple of awards. I don't know if his script was up for original screenplay or was it based on a book or something. I don't know. Anyway, I know it was up for some awards, and he also wrote the screenplay for Bird Box, which was that Netflix film from a few years ago with Sandra Bullock that everyone was raving about. It's all right. It's decent. So he's a decent writer. Anyway, he wrote the script for this. Now, he wasn't the original screenwriter. The original screenwriter that developed the script was your man. What's his name? I've written his name down. And I know his name. It's Ronald. It's Ronald D. Moore.
Ronald D. Moore.
Yes, who is quite a big name in the science fiction world. He did Roswell. He developed Roswell, and he's a writer on Star Trek. He wrote on Voyager and Deep Space Nine. He also developed the newer version of Battlestar Galactica.
Okay, so he's got some good credits behind his name.
Oh,
Yeah.
very good credits, yes, very good credits, and he's quite a revered person in that space. So he helped develop the original script, and I think he actually did write a draft. Although I think he is uncredited. And then the producers, who are Mark Abram and Eric Newman, they hired Eric Heiser to come in. Heiserer to come in and do a proper actual, rewrite. And I don't know how many drafts there were, but he is the credited writer. So talking about the producers, development on this film began in 2009, whenever the two producers, Newman and Abrams, wanted to do something with a Universal product. They decided that they wanted to do something with the thing. They knew they didn't want to do a remake, so they came up with this prequel idea, and Universal were all for it, and they allowed them to sort of develop the project then. But your guy Newman and Abrams, they were the guys that were the producers of the Dawn of the Dead remake, which we have covered.
Yes,
we have covered.
Below.
We will put a link down there. We certainly will.
A link below. But yeah, the Dawn of the Dead, I would say, is better than this. If we had to pick between the two, I think.
Well, that's a remake, though.
Yeah,
this is a prequel, so let's
just
a prequel, just in case you didn't know.
Film, yeah, in case you weren't aware,
this is a prequel.
This is a prequel. That's a remake. But in terms of just general movie quality and being associated with the franchise, I think the
Dawn of the Dead's better.
Dawn of the Dead's better, yeah.
And also, there's also a little connection there to, at the start of this video, I said that Matthias van Hennigan was a bit of an unknown. Why did he get the job? He must have been cheap. But he was in line. He was actually in line to direct the sequel to the Dawn of the Dead remake, called Army of the Dead.
Oh.
That was set in Las Vegas, which came out like 2 years ago, or was it last year? Came out on Netflix. Was it last year? It was last year, because that's why we did Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah. Yes, that's right.
It finally came out last year. It was directed by Zack Snyder, of course, and it was massive. It went, the internet broke down. Either you loved it or you hated it. There was no sort of middle ground.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, quite liked it. I thought it was quite good. Anyway, we're not here to talk about that.
No.
But this guy, Van Hennigan, was in line to direct that sequel. For some reason, it didn't happen. It got cancelled. And because he was kind of already there and kind of already ready to make a film, I suppose, the producers obviously knew him and so thought, right, this is the guy, we can give him the job. So there was another writer that was brought in after Heiser, strictly to write dialogue. He did nothing to do with the plot points or any structure or anything like that. It was just to rewrite some dialogue, which is often the case with these big studio projects. It happens quite often. Scott Frank, who had written the screenplays for films like Wolverine and Logan, he originally wrote Get Shorty, I think, and Out of Sight, and big films that were up for Oscars and lots of awards and stuff. So fair play to Scott Frank, but I think he's uncredited as well.
Yeah. To be fair, the dialogue in this was okay.
Dialogue's, but there's a couple of lines of dialogue that made me cringe. Some of the lines are okay, but it was quite cringy at times.
Yeah.
And really, the dialogue doesn't drive the story. It's all about the situation, really, that happens.
Big sips.
I can't be a bit of Coke now. Anyway, so let's talk about the cast. Stars Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Danny.
From Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Funny enough, I knew you would say that.
Of course.
You're a big fan of Edgar Wright, of course.
I fucking love me some Edgar Wright. So, of course, I was going to mention that she's Ramona Flowers.
She's amazing. I love her a bit.
Yep.
She's really good in that Cloverfield movie. Did you ever see the...
Oh, 10
10
Cloverfield Lane. Yeah. Oh my God, what a movie!
Really good in that. I mean, she's fantastic in that. And I think she's fantastic in this.
I think she does. She puts in a good performance, and she turns it out. Which again, I think most of the cast turn out for this one, but I think most of the time they just kind of have to be like,
yeah, a lot like it's quite a big cast, but there's a lot of people that are kind of just there. Obviously, they're there just to get killed, but
Yeah. I think you're supposed to. There's some of them where you're kind of like, am I supposed to be attached to this person, and they seem to be suffering, and I'm not really digging it. Yeah, there was.
Yeah, I think that's one of the failures of the film is that there's too many characters, and you don't get attached to enough of them. Really, other than Kate, you don't really get attached to any of them. Really, maybe the other dude. What's the other guy? Adam, who she's quite friendly with.
The one that was in
Sort of younger dude.
Yeah, he was in fucking what do you call it? Beer
Not another
Fest.
teen. Not another teen
Not
movie.
another teen movie. He did a lot of that kind of
Dumb and
stoner
Dumber too,
humor, and he did a lot of that sort of stuff. And then he always plays like the douchey boyfriend and stuff.
Does, yeah.
But yeah, I liked whenever he came on. I was like, ooh, nice to see him do something a bit different. But then as it was playing out, I was like, you're a little bitch, man. I didn't dig his whole thing, and then how he kind of went as well. Like I was like, oh, he's getting covered in CGI goo, Yeah.
So go ahead.
What do you call your man?
Joel Edgerton.
Yes, Joel Edgerton. I like him.
That was the other. I was going to say he's the other guy who eventually sort of becomes like the second lead, halfway through the movie, and he becomes like. Well, you think he's going to survive at the end. Obviously, you don't spoiler. But
what happens to him?
What happens? He forgets his earring. He drops his earring.
Oh man, see that bit when she's like, "I knew you were real back, or I knew you were turned back at the camp because of your earring." And he reaches for the wrong ear. Like, fuck up.
It's the other ear.
Yeah, who's going to be looking at an earring and after you just fucking blew up a fucking alien spaceship? Fuck up.
And also, they don't even really focus on it, so it's kind of like
no, exactly. Like,
they're just hoping that the viewers catch it.
Fucking diamond stud. We
should have had like a bull ring instead. Something really noticeable.
Yeah. No, your earring.
Wee tiny thing. It was wee thin
little
gold.
Stud. Yeah, fucking bullshit.
So the cast is quite good. All the Norwegian guys are quite good, obviously.
It's your man from fucking Game of Thrones, the Wildling boy. Yeah. Amazing. Whenever I completely forgot he was in it, when he was on, I was like, Tormund.
Tormund Giantsbane.
Yeah, Tormund Giantsbane, man. When he came on, I was like, hey.
I know.
This film is like an hour 45 minutes long, but it really doesn't feel that long. It really sort of just like gets stuck in to being thingish. Is that word?
Suppose, yeah.
Some of the dramas maybe drawn out a bit, but it doesn't take long getting stuck in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's true. It was, nominated for some awards, for the Saturn Award and the Rondo Award. It didn't win anything, but it's nice to be nominated.
It's always nice to be nominated.
It is, but we sort of alluded to it earlier. Most of the negative feedback from critics and fans and people in general is about the CGI. Obviously, the original 1982 film is one of our favorite films ever, and we love our prosthetics, Danny.
We love a good practical effect.
We love it. We fucking love it. I don't care if it's bad looking.
Yeah. Give me
love it.
Cheap, rubbery practical effects over dodgy CGI any day. Absolutely any day. And even now, even still, like seeing bad CGI in a movie really upsets me. Whereas seeing bad practical effects in a movie doesn't really upset me so much.
No.
Because again, I'm kind of like somebody has had to physically sit and craft that. So I know there's still a craft to CGI. There is still a craft, and there's a lot of time dedicated to that, a lot of time and money and resources. But it just does not look as good.
No. Yeah, I mean, we're not disparaging.
No.
CG work.
It's still a craft. It's still absolutely a craft, and it's come such a long way since we were young. But I think it's that uncanny valley type thing when it comes to bad CGI.
I think the CGI in this isn't as bad as people make out. Now,
no,
when you get towards the end, it does go a wee bit over the top, but for the most part, during that middle segment where the thing's going mad and it's pretty good.
Tell me this.
Well, here we go.
And tell me no more, right? So the CGI beasties, the CGI thingies, they're okay. They're not the worst. It may have been. There were some points where I went, that actually is quite good. And did they use maybe a combination of practical effects and CGI?
They definitely did, yeah.
But the one thing that really rubbed me up the wrong way, that really got me, and I don't know if you maybe noticed it too, maybe I'm just nitpicking, but see when they go down in that cavern with the spaceship for the first time, is the breath, the mist from their breath, is that CGI? Because I think it might be, because it all seems to be the same, like, puff, cloud puff coming out of their
I would
mouths.
assume so.
And
I mean, I doubt that they had them.
That.
I doubt they had them film on a
temperature
sound stage that they turned it right down.
I just, you know what? No, that totally
Fuck
took me
this!
out of the moment. I was like, that really took me out of the moment because you can almost see like where it stops and it doesn't really just speed up. And I was like, that's fake fucking mouth vapor right there. And I'm not about that. That took me out of the moment.
I didn't really zone in on that, but now that you mention it, yeah.
You look at it, that's when I was like, the CGI is going to be bad in this.
I don't mind the big giant monster with the really fake human face, but see that fake smoke? See that fake smoke coming out of their mouth?
No, actually no. So the two faces fused together was really well done. But the face at the end when they're fighting the final boss in the spaceship, that was horribly like plastered on. It didn't.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right, and no,
it was absolutely disastrous. Yeah, it was horrible. But you mentioned, yes, there is practical effects in this as well. So let's not, just say that it was all CGI. There's a lot of practical effects in this, and most of it is kind of stuff that doesn't move.
Yeah.
Like whenever they open the sack and they see the guy's face, that's fucking brilliant.
That's great. Yeah. But again, that's someone sat and dedicated and painted all the wee blood vessels and the wee bits are going in feeding the thing.
And the sort of translucent skin around his mouth and all, you could see his teeth just underneath it. That's all beautiful, beautiful work.
Fantastic. It's whenever I can't remember his actual name, but Tormund has the wee like hand centipede clutched onto his face and it's like feeding into his mouth and it's kind of pulsating, but you can see
one eye's starting to get bigger because he's inside his head, but his other eye sort of blinks
and getting on. Oh my god, I really like that. And again, like it's when it got to the point where they would have like big wide shots of whatever ghoulie monster they were showing, and then it would like open out with all the teeth and stuff, and I was like, that looks nice.
I didn't even mind the CGI whenever some of the bodies start morphing and bending back, especially the first woman who turns. That was quite good.
It was good, I liked hers, but it got to a point sometimes where I was like,
yeah, I know.
We've probably actually, because we're kind of jumping ahead to when the thing actually arrives at the camp. It opens, they're out on one of the fucking like snow trucks. It's like three of the Scandinavian fellas are like out on one of the ice trucks and they're like following a signal, and then they're like over the top of the signal.
Excuse me.
It's
all that Coke that I'm drinking.
Bubbly boy. They go out on the ice and they're following the signal, and then they're right over the top of it, and a fucking cavern opens up and they fucking fall down into it. I was like, oh fuck. And then they stop, they manage to get wedged in, but the lights from the truck shine down in and it looks like it's a black abyss. But then it starts to light up and we see the top of the alien spaceship, and from that a light pops out and gives us the title card of
what is the title?
Thing.
The Thing.
The Thing. In case you didn't know, it's called The Thing, but it's actually a prequel to The Thing.
It's not a remake.
Or sure, do we need to call it John Carpenter's The Thing?
Well, technically,
isn't it technically John Carpenter's The Thing?
It is. All his films that have his name above them are legally called John Carpenter's The Thing and John Carpenter's Halloween. So that is the actual official title.
Yeah.
But sometimes I can't be bothered saying his name.
Not all the time. We don't want to give him a big head.
No, we definitely don't. No. He has to earn that.
Exactly. Still. Even though if he did a Dead Space movie, he would. Anyway, but yes.
Anyway,
so
back to this. So
we get the title card. It has a nice title
yes.
card. It does have a nice title card. We haven't mentioned the title card yet this season. Mention it now. It has a nice title card. Yeah,
it's nice
because again, it just uses the Thing font. It's the exact same fucking font.
Well,
kind of. No,
it's the alternate font. The original Thing font is the sort of thin, at slight angle. Yeah, it looks like which is the original one from the 1951 movie as well. So that's why Carpenter wanted to replicate that, because that's his favorite film. But then there's an alternate font that's used on different posters and stuff, which they did for this as well. So no, it's grand. And then obviously we get this is the prequel to The Thing, just in case you didn't know, and it's based around the Norwegians, the camp. So at the start of John Carpenter's The Thing, the Americans they know of a Norwegian camp that have been decimated. Essentially, they come across their camp, blah blah blah, before they find the ship and the thing. And this is the prequel that shows us the camp.
Where's our prequel counter? Have we
I
got
wonder how many times we said prequel, and I wonder how many times we said The Thing.
Prequel counter on one side, The Thing on the other side.
Yeah, I'm definitely not doing a count because that would take way too long.
Take too long. Put it in the comments if you do happen to count how many times we say prequel and The Thing.
I know, not together, just separate.
Separately, yeah.
So anyway, this is about the Norwegian camp and Thule Station. Thule Station.
Thule Station.
And we get to meet some of the Norwegians who are also integrated with some of the US cast, which we've mentioned already. And we follow them as they are essentially attacked by this organism that they discover in the ice. Now, one of the things, I wasn't sure if I liked this or not, but they discover the creature in the ice and you see it. And it's supposed to be like a silhouette. You don't really see it properly.
Yeah, you see it. Yeah, you see it, but you don't.
But then, is that the original shape? Because that's the whole thing. Is what is the shape?
What is the thing? Yeah, well, that's why I was kind of wondering. I was like, does this go?
Not Michael Myers.
Like, no,
not the shape.
No, not the shape. But that's
the figure.
So is the thing? Is the thing an alien? Or is the thing a parasitic alien that's managed to get onto an alien spaceship which crash lands on Earth coincidentally and is now just doing its thing on Earth? What is the thing? Is the thing an alien or is the thing a parasitic alien?
That's the thing. We don't know what the thing is.
We don't know because again, this film does not expand on what the thing is. What the fuck is this thing?
Here we go. Here's a wee fact for you, Danny. And probably people watching this already know this, but originally, in the original draft, the ending wasn't supposed to end the way it does in the film. It's supposed to show a big set piece at the end. So whenever they go to the spacecraft at the end of this film, and it sort of turns into a generic monster movie, really, like kind of similar to Alien when Ripley's fighting the alien. But in this, the thing creature has the weird face. And it attacks Kate and your other man on the spacecraft, and we get this big sort of fight, essentially. But in the original script, it was supposed to be revealed that the thing was a prisoner of some kind, and there was 2 alien pilots on the spacecraft. And it was supposed to sort of obviously set up some sort of backstory to what this organism might actually be. They didn't go with that. So there is videos on YouTube that you can see the set piece and you can see the actual, it's not a puppet, it's like an animatronic, I suppose. They built this huge alien pilot that they didn't use. They did shoot some, but they didn't use it in the film. So if you go on YouTube, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to put a link to it in the description below. So if I remember. But yeah, so they built this animatronic puppet type thing. I don't know if it actually moved, but it was quite big and they shot it on film, but they didn't use it. So I'm really bummed about that.
That kind of, it seems like maybe did they just decide they didn't want to get down that rabbit hole and have to try explaining the story, or
I think there's conflicting stories about what happened with this film, but apparently the studio did sort of interfere a little bit towards the end. There was reshoots. Apparently there was months of reshoots. I don't know exactly. It was mostly to do with the end. So I'm assuming that they were unhappy with how it ended, and they wanted more like sort of like explosions, and they wanted that big fight scene similar to Ripley and Alien. I know that the director was a huge fan of Alien, and he wanted to kind of make his own Alien movie, I suppose. So if you actually look at what happens in this and what happened in Alien, there's a lot of connections, between obviously the lead as a girl, very much in the Ripley mold, and there's certain scenes. So there's that scene that you talked about with Tormund that has the face hugger. It could be seen as being a face hugger, even though it's your man's arm that rips off, which was actually a cool scene.
Cool. That was
a cool scene.
I liked when it like creeped off and I like when it starts fusing back together and stuff. The other one they get on the wall and stuff. I liked that thing.
Yeah.
That creature.
And then at the end of the spaceship is kind of alien-esque. They're kind of walking around the tight corridors and stuff, and you see the steam coming out randomly, around the corner.
There's wee sections of it where it looks almost like biomechanical as well. Like some of the set design of it is kind of biomechanical influence. There's a lot of influences on this. There was actually the scene in the kitchen where Joe McHale's character is like hiding away around the corner and it's sort of stalking along the edge. I felt that was very Jurassic Park.
Yep.
Whenever
I would say
stalking along the edge of the kitchen counter.
I would say a lot of it was kind of influenced by how Jurassic Park was set up. This is a survival horror film.
Yep.
That there's body horror in it as well, obviously, but it is mostly a survival horror film, and Jurassic Park is a survival horror film.
Yep, survive the monsters. I really like the whenever they go to hire Kate and she's like extracting DNA and tissue from like a deep frost bear.
Is it a bear? Is it?
But I like whenever the shot opens and it's the like skull fur covered face of the bear and it looks almost like the dog thing from the original thing. I really like that because it was kind of like nice. But then as it pans out, you realize it's actually bigger than a dog and it's this full like permafrost bear sitting on her work table.
Yeah, that was nice. Obviously they did try to have some visual connections with John Carpenter's film. Obviously the set pieces are kind of similar and the exterior shots are obviously very similar, especially the end. They're literally carbon copies. But I think for the most part they paid homage to.
They paid good homage, and I feel the thing that kind of annoyed me. It doesn't annoy me because I'm like, fair enough, you've tried to do something different, but it almost feels like they didn't try hard enough. Like the whole test thing, and it was like, how do we know you're not one of the things? You got no fillings.
Well, do you know what?
It makes sense. I get like why they did it, but
I quite like that because I when they said the blood test, I was just like, for fuck's sake. Yeah. So this is why we mentioned already that whole middle part of the film is very much in remake territory. A lot of it is kind of structured and shot the same.
We don't just got one flamethrower. We got two flamethrowers.
Oh yeah. But I would have liked a little bit more of the paranoia stuff. I think that it worked well in Carpenter's script because the group was smaller.
Yeah.
With this one, it did work okay, and they used the language barrier to make it work a bit more.
Yes.
Which was interesting. I quite like that. But I think that the fact that they didn't do the blood test was good.
Yes, I do think it was good, but I still think how they kind of go about it still didn't push it quite. And I think that they, as you say, they could have built up the tension and paranoia and stuff because I think they introduce it really well. I think that we get paranoid. We're paranoid along with before everyone else is because that scene where they take off in the helicopter and you think it's going to be the wee sick fella, but then it's actually the fella sitting across from him when his face splits open. Because even I was like, oh fuck, because I completely forgot that it was him that was the first to kind of properly turn. And yeah, I was like, fuck, we're paranoid before, like nobody else in the cast paranoid apart from Kate really, about this thing, transferring to other people and all. So I thought that was a really good starting point, but as you say, that tension isn't really built up anymore because Kate's already figured it out and she's taken charge, even though the main bad before that has already kind of been a dick to her. And yes, I know we're meant to think he's a dick, but she almost takes over too quickly. I think there should have been a bit more tension between those two to create a greater tension than when it came to the horror and the thing spreading through the community.
That's a good point. That's a good point, actually.
But she just seems to take over, because there's even that point where it's like, oh, she's in charge now, you know, and it's like, well, that's it. She's in charge now. You know, we don't have to worry because she's going to save the day. You know, there's no real because your fella scurries off as soon as the danger starts happening. He fucks off to find a spaceship. So
yeah. No, you're right. You're right. She doesn't really go on a journey as such to get that role. She just takes it really, and I think that's the difference between her and Ripley. There's been a lot of comparisons to Ripley from what I've read online and stuff over the years, because of the connection, because of all the connections with Alien. But I think that Ripley kind of earns it a bit more. It takes a little bit longer for her to earn it, whereas Kate kind of steps into that role a little bit too soon. Another connection to Alien is the guys that do the prosthetics and the special effects. It's a company called Amalgamated Dynamics. They've been in the business for years and years. It's two guys called Alec Gillis and Tom Woodruff Jr., who are pretty much legends in that space. They've worked on a couple of Aliens movies. They worked on Monster Squad and loads of fucking movies, Starship Troopers, and loads of big science fiction horror franchises. And they're specialists in creatures. And your guy Tom, especially, is a specialist in creatures because he is actually a creature performer as well. He was one of the aliens, I think, in Alien 3 and maybe Alien 4 as well. He's actually in the suit. He's most famous for being the creature in Pumpkinhead. Nice. Did you ever see that film, Pumpkinhead?
Oh, yeah. Years ago.
Very amazing creature design as well.
Talk about that? Should we talk about
We
that?
definitely will talk about Pumpkinhead.
Yeah.
But the creature design's amazing, and he was in the suit, so he's been in loads of suits, and he's done loads of creature designs over the years. And he actually was the Gill Man in Monster Squad as well, so he's done a lot of work over the years. But their company worked on this, and you know, I just wanted to mention them because we talked about how much we loved the practical stuff in this, even though it's overshadowed a little bit by the CG.
Yeah, we love creature performers. I think we've talked before about creature performers when we've done American Werewolf in London and that. So yeah, 100% we do.
Absolutely.
We love those practical effects and creatures. And again, no discredit to those who do CGI. We just have our preferences.
So as we mentioned, you know, the script had its issues and it was rewritten, and then there was some reshoots and stuff. But I wanted to say about the dialogue. We sort of said the dialogue was a bit dodgy. There wasn't very many memorable lines. There was one line that I really quite liked. I think it was during that scene where they're doing the teeth, or just before, or maybe just after it. No, I think it's whenever the two Americans who survived the crash come back into the camp.
Yes.
And I think that was a nice plot point as well, because that kind of expanded the tension and, you know, oh, actually, how did they survive this? Maybe they're the thing. Maybe they're both the things. Maybe they're the thingies.
Can you have a hive? What do you call a hive of things?
The thingies.
Or they have the thingies.
It could be
like one thing too.
It could be in the ghoulies and critters and gremlins, and it could be the thingies.
The thingies.
So they could be.
We could do a thing sequel called the thingies.
We could.
It could be a whole bunch of thingies. The thingamabobs.
Thingamajiggies. So anyway, Kate says to them, "Look, you guys stay there. We need to test these guys." So she's being level-headed and, you know, whatever. And one of the guys with the flamethrower is like, "No, these guys couldn't survive it. I'm going to kill them." And she turns to him and says, "It could be murder." And then his response is, "It could be survival." I just thought that was a cool line.
It is a cool line, and something that I wish they'd explored more. I like this idea that she's like, what if we murdered somebody? Like, what if they're not an alien? What if it was murder? And it was something I was like, imagine they killed somebody that wasn't a thing. I was like, that's something that could have been delved into. But again, they don't, because this film doesn't really delve any deeper than its initial layer, which is the thing.
And I think as well, once the thing announces itself or shows itself,
Yeah.
too much happens straight away. You know, that it just goes mad. It splits off into all these different parts and kills everyone like within. Well, not everyone obviously, but kills half the camp
Yeah.
within the space of a couple of minutes. And I really feel like they should have drawn out the kills. You know, isolate people and kill them secretly, and then have people discover the bodies and that do it that way.
Yeah.
Rather than just have it this big mad action horror death kill sequence, which we got. I mean, it was pretty cool, and we did get that part where you said about the face, the two faces, which is iconic imagery, and that was quite cool. It was CG, obviously, but it was still very cool.
It's better CG than the big bad at the end. You know, the face on it's just your man's face plastered on.
Well, I want to mention the original makeup artist from the 82 film, Rob Bottin, who did all those amazing prosthetics, and obviously that face melting thing is something that he designed back in those days, and iconic, still one of the best
but I think
designs ever.
I think that's the thing that really makes the CGI in this so meh and jarring, is because we've seen what they could do in the original. Why break away from that? You know, that's what the fans love about the original thing, is those effects. And they kind of went, well, we can do it better, but with CGI. But it's not. It doesn't live up to the same expectation.
I mean, I'm just guessing its budget. Like,
probably,
you know, it must be cheaper having a couple of people or a team of people designing it on a computer and just letting it happen behind the scenes instead of having people on a stage performing and doing it. But you do lose that. You know, you lose something by not having it being a physical thing.
Yeah, it doesn't look as viscous and fluid, you know, and that it just ends up going into that sort of Terminator 2 liquid metal territory. You know,
hang on, no,
don't get me wrong. The liquid metal in Terminator 2 is fucking fantastic for Terminator 2.
Because it works, because it's supposed to look like that. I know
exactly, but it's not. You know, this is meant to be biomass.
I thought you were insulting Terminator 2 there.
No.
I was about to hit stop on this video.
This is you know, Terminator 2. That was its aesthetic. It's not the aesthetic we want for our thing.
No. So yeah, so we mentioned the end. Obviously, I think it was quite anticlimactic. The end, the whole big battle scene, and
it feels like they just run off to rush the ending. Like it's all very kind of like, you know, let's get him and let's fucking burn him out and convenient grenade. And yeah, I wish I would have liked to have seen a bit more explored about, well, what's in this, because again, we see the spaceship at the start. Aliens, we've discovered aliens. Great, tell us more about the aliens. Nope, because we're getting attacked by the alien. And then they go to the spaceship and there's kind of like
pixel waterfall
thing.
And a pixel waterfall is the only way I can describe that.
What's this? Like, if she'd gone over and we got like a wee flash of information or something, but we don't. We get fuck all, because then the thing busts in the room. She has to go fucking save herself. And then Joel fucking walks in with a flamethrower, which he doesn't fucking use, because guess what? He's a fucking thing. We don't even need that dialogue at the end because he does fuck all.
Yeah, I think that was just clearly something they just wrote in at the very end, just to as one last sort of like, oh wow,
got him. It's you know what? See, whenever they're checking the fillings that people have. And your fella's like, what? I'm gonna have to die because I floss? I was like, fuck up.
Hello. Yes, mate, you will die.
Yeah, like seriously, who in their 30s doesn't have a fucking filling?
I know.
Unless you do. Good for you. Nice one.
Overall, like, it's not a bad film.
It's alright. It is. I think what it suffers from is that there's the thing. And we compare
This is the thing.
This is the thing.
There's this film called The Thing.
The Thing. John Carpenter's Thing.
Yes.
Had there not been John Carpenter's The Thing, then this movie...
Well, this film wouldn't have existed.
This film wouldn't have existed. But had it managed to exist without The Thing, we wouldn't have anything to compare it to. So we'd
Yeah.
probably like, oh well, actually that was all right. But because it does, it obviously is trying to pay homage, but just ends up straight up copying stuff, and it's a bit like, yeah.
Yeah, and it's
Not lazy, but kind of is, but also not. I don't know. It's one of
sort
those
of
ones.
it's basically just structured the same.
Yeah.
You know,
And there's so many things they could have went down and explored and delved into, and they just didn't because they just wanted to keep it in line with the original thing. Or not the original thing. John Carpenter's the
the
thing.
A2 thing, yeah.
Yeah.
But and you can, if you sit back and look at the film as a whole afterwards, you can sort of see that has been polished by a studio.
Yeah.
You know, it's certain things kind of just happen, and they're never really explained, and it's all there just because, oh, we need something to be there, so they've just went, right, let's just have that. So, you know, I understand it. I quite enjoyed it. I just only because I love the 82 film, so I was kind of like, oh, I'm into it just because I want to see where it ends.
It makes you want to go back and watch the thing, and I think because of that clip they show during the credits of them hunting down the dog, which opens up into the thing, then John Carpenter's thing, then it just you just watch it and you go, I want to go watch.
Well, I did
the thing. So yeah, exactly. It's one of those things. I think it's one of those films that suffers from that, like the fucking Dumb and Dumber 2. Dumb and Dumber 2 just made me want to go watch Dumb and Dumber. You know, it wasn't.
Yeah, but that was a sequel.
It was a sequel, but
this is a prequel.
It's a franchise thing.
So
it's a franchise thing.
I think it works well if you watch this film first.
Yeah.
And you like what I did. I watched this film first, and then as soon as it was over, I literally put on
The Thing.
John Carpenter's The Thing, and the end credits scene or the credits scene where it shows you the husky bounding through the snow and the helicopter chasing him.
The good thing about this one is no dogs die.
No dogs die.
It's implied that the dog die, but dog no die.
Well, the dog's dead.
You
know, obviously it's not a real dog.
The
dog's dead, lad.
But
we don't see it died.
No, the dog no see die. We see blood.
We see blood, but we don't see.
But we don't actually see dog corpse, so that's okay.
And just when we're on dogs, that scene from John Carpenter's Thing, where the dogs, like, I know it's an alien, but it still gets me because I'm like, fuck the poor dogs.
It's man, I haven't actually watched John Carpenter's The Thing in a good wee while, so I'm really excited to watch it.
Can't wait to watch it again.
And yeah, that dog. It's whenever the first dog starts going, all the other dogs are like cowering and that. Fucking, oh.
And then whenever their keeper, and I can't remember his name, but anyway, he's all sad and stuff, and then obviously, you know,
The Thing.
Everything happens after that. But I wanted to mention the score real quickly. The composer of this score was Marco Beltrami, who has done fucking loads of. He worked on the Scream franchise. He's worked on Hellboy and loads of films, Resident Evil, and not just horror. He's done loads of other films as well. Revered, I would say, in this industry. But I will say, I didn't really notice the score during the film. I noticed it at the start and I noticed it at the end. And the reasons why I noticed it at the start and the end, for obvious reasons, is because it's essentially Morricone's score that he's kind of stolen. Well, stolen's the wrong word.
Not stolen.
Borrowed.
It's adapted.
He's borrowed Ennio Morricone's famous score from The Thing, and he's used it at the start and the end. You know, that sort of boom, 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 boom. You know, very famous atmospheric and ominous score. And it works. It actually does work because it kind of bookends the film. And then obviously at the end, you're really supposed to do what I did, and you're supposed to turn it off, and then you're supposed to turn on the 82 film.
Yep.
And it does flow pretty seamlessly. And I will say, look, you did a good job with that. I'm sure a lot of people rolled their eyes at the end of this film when they first watched it and stuff. But you know, look, it is a prequel, in case you didn't know.
Just and if we haven't been clear about that, it's prequel.
It does flow fairly seamlessly into Carpenter's film. So good job doing that. Anything else, Danny, you want to say?
Not really. I think I've really had all I want to say on this one. It's not bad.
It's not bad.
Great.
It's better than, to be
It's
honest, I was
better-
expecting a shit show.
Yeah,
But
it's better than a lot of other. Now, yes, if we haven't said it enough already, it's a prequel, but it's a lot of other better than a lot of other kind of rebooty,
yeah,
requels.
prequels,
Yeah, it's a lot better than
rehashes,
other
yeah,
stuff that comes out. It's decent.
it's
It's worth
decent.
watching, and as we said, if anything, it makes you want to just once you've finished it, go straight into the thing. So that's a
Yeah.
nice sort of seamless. Now you will notice going from like dodgy, not dodgy, to meh CGI into like lovely practical effects might be a bit jarring, but the actual way it ends just nice, seamless. So if anything, watch it so you can get to John Carpenter's The Thing.
Think of this film as a very, 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 very long opening scene to John Carpenter's film.
It's a nice little. You've gone to like mid-level restaurant. You know them; they're always decent at the mains, but the starters are just okay. The starters maybe like a real basic vegetable soup, but you know you're going to get a decent like or decent steak dinner after,
And a really good dessert.
and a really good dessert. We just have to wait until a sequel comes out.
You'll definitely enjoy
but
it.
it's also going to be called The Thing, just to confuse us
Well,
further. So
just
it'll be the thing,
yeah,
the thing,
and then the thingy. But
yeah,
just to
they'll just call it The Thing again.
talk about a sequel. There is actually supposedly there is another film happening. Blumhouse has purchased the rights to The Thing, and it was announced in 2020. John Carpenter let it slip at Fantasia Fest, I think, or one of those festivals in America. He let it slip that Blumhouse was working on a script, or they were working on a project to do with the thing. He was supposedly involved somehow, but since then, I think earlier this year he was interviewed and somebody asked him about it, and he was like, "I don't know anything about it, like whatever." So that tends to happen a lot with John Carpenter. You know, people will announce something that he's something that he's worked on previously, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm involved." Generally, that only means that they've went to him and said, "Can we please? Can we please?" Even though you don't own the rights,
yeah.
I'm just out of respect. I'm coming to you first and saying,
Your name's
"I love
on
you."
It. Your name's on it. We've got to ask you.
Please, can we make this? And so I don't know what's happening there. Hopefully, they'll release some details soon enough. I would like to see them explore that world again. I hope it definitely won't be a remake.
No.
So I'm guessing it's going to be a sequel. I think there's
I would
been
like
rumors.
a sequel. Kurt Russell back take on The Thing.
Well, what happened to McCready at the end? You know, we don't know.
Yeah, well, but what if he's out there spreading The Thing?
Yeah. What if he comes back, but then in the film you find out that he's actually a thing?
A thing. What if it becomes a story about sexually transmitted diseases? Maybe that's what the original one's all about. What if that's what the whole thing's about?
Oh, yeah.
Fucking shit up.
But we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully they'll announce something soon enough. But I think that's all the time we have. I enjoyed it. You enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. It's aight. It's enjoyable enough.
It's aight.
Use it, as I said, a nice starter before your main course.
Yeah. As always, leave your comments below. Let us know what you think of this prequel to The Thing. Definitely not a remake.
We've definitely mentioned it's a prequel.
We have.
To The Thing.
So let us know what you think. Do you want to see Blumhouse tackle a sequel or whatever? And, you know, obviously we'd love to see John Carpenter come back in some capacity, and Kurt Russell if possible. And the dog. Let's bring back the husky.
Let's have huskies.
Of some kind.
Let's see some huskies. Yeah, we do.
I'd love to see
husky.
Multiple huskies.
What if they had it based in Greenland this time, and they actually, it's more of a fear. I was reading an article today about Greenland, and because the ice is melting away from Greenland, huskies and sled dogs aren't really needed anymore.
Oh no!
The fishermen don't need to go out on the ice anymore because all the ice is melting away, so they're purchasing boats instead. So what if The Thing was in Iceland, and because of all the retreat in ice, they're like, "Fuck it, lads, let's jump on a boat and fucking take over the
Here,
world."
what do you know? This is a better idea.
Hmm.
What if it was in Lapland and it was set at Christmas?
Oh my god, they get Santa Claus, and Santa Claus is played by Kurt Russell.
Yes.
Christmas Chronicles meets The Thing.
Yep. That's
Film
happening.
Buddies, Kurt Russell, let us know if you
Give
want
us a
to talk
call.
more. Let us know. Yeah.
Happy to sell you that idea.
100%.
We are absolutely copywriting that idea on this video. So, but you know, if you want it,
Noops.
give us the
Give us them
noops.
noops.
Give us
Yep.
them noops.
Precious noops.
But anyway, I'm off to drink more Coke from my Game of Thrones mug.
I'm gonna go and think about things.
Thingies.
Thingies and thingamabobs. Thingamajigs.
As always, please follow us on Twitter and Instagram at the Fright Club NI. Check out the website www.thefrightclubni.com. Read some reviews, some editorials, some exclusive interviews with filmmakers, and of course, you've got to subscribe.
Like the video.
Like the video.
Comment on the video. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you get notified about whenever we're putting out our good shit, because it's good shit and we love talking to you about movies. And
about good shit.
Come back in 2 weeks' time with our next video, which is about something. A thing. Not the thing, but a thing.
It's going to be an exciting video, Danny. What's it? No, we definitely know. We definitely know what we're doing.
Exactly.
We have it all planned out. So yes, we'll be back in a couple of weeks. Thanks for watching. I'm sorry that we talked absolute shite.
Love you. Bye.
Did we definitely say the thing more than 100 times? Who knows? Nobody knows.
Perhaps. Yeah.
But throw a number down there in the comment section. We might go back and check it and count. And if you're close, we might give you a prize. I don't know. We might not.
Ooh, a prize.
We might do. But yes, take care. Stay safe. All the best. Bye.
Bye.
Thing.